You are now tuned in to Damn Good Advice, a podcast where we bring you the cream of the crop in finance, relationship, and all-around life information from special guests. Remember to share this podcast, and if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe while you're at it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Damn Good Advice. This is your host, JD Lewis. Today I'm joined with Sheila Hemami from Triple Ring Technologies. How are you today?
I'm great, JD. How are you doing?
Doing well. So, I think we can start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
So first off, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm an engineer. I always introduce myself as an engineer. First on the personal side a little bit. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so yes. I'm a Buckeye. Go Bucks. And I'm the child of immigrants. My father came from Iran, and my mother was from West Germany. Now it's just Germany since Germany reunited. Gotcha. I have a younger sister, and we grew up as Americans, but as kids who had two parents who came from two very different backgrounds. And for us, we grew up going to Europe very frequently because that was the midpoint where the families could meet. My father's family would travel from Iran, and obviously my mother's family was there. So I grew up with, I think, a somewhat different perspective on the world, on the size of the world, on what people from different countries were like. Namely, they're just like us. My perspective on, I think, the size of the planet and differences or lack thereof between people was a little bit different from many of my classmates. But it took me a while to figure that out. You know, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily understand that.
So you would say the world smelled. The world smelled. The world felt a lot smaller for you, I assume.
Yes, and I think that I didn't realize that it felt smaller, but when talking to other people, I perceived that they thought it was bigger than I did, right? More different, more unknown, maybe scary. I grew up with a parent that was a professor and a professor of engineering. Mm-hmm. So that clearly influenced my choice of study. I was a carny in high school. I worked for the traveling food industry, as I like to call it. I traveled all over the state of Ohio making pizza and elephant ears and fried dough, and you name junk food that is sold at carnivals, I know how to make it, and I did that professionally. So it was through that I acquired the fact that I only eat hand-cut fries with vinegar.
Oh, wow.
I did my undergrad at University of Michigan. I wanted to get far enough away from home that I was away from home and I wouldn't have people breathing down my neck. I desperately wanted to go to California for undergrad, and I got into Berkeley and I didn't get into Stanford, and I really wanted to go to Stanford, so I decided to go to University of Michigan instead.
That's really cool.
And my dad, being the consummate professor, was like, oh, it doesn't matter where you do your bachelor's degree. It's only the PhD that counts anyway. So when I was an undergrad, I had a series of interesting summer jobs. First, I worked for the phone company, basically as a programmer. It was the most amazing job, and it doesn't sound like an amazing job, but when your summer jobs have been working in food trailers, slaving over vats of hot grease, standing on your feet for 12 hours a day, and then, coming home covered in sugar, cinnamon, flour, and grease, the fact that I could get dressed up and go to a office building downtown with elevators and air conditioning, oh my goodness. I then spent 3 summers working for Delco Electronics in Kokomo, Indiana. And I had a summer job lined up in California after my sophomore year. So even though I didn't get to go there to study, I was so excited. I was going to go to Santa Clara. I was going to work for an IBM division. And then I won a scholarship from General Motors. And it was kind of like, I couldn't say no because it was full tuition, and University of Michigan out-of-state tuition was astronomical at the time. Lots of interns, lots of programming. I worked in the group that did the first head-up display in a car, and in fact, that very, very first display went in the pace car for the Indianapolis 500 that year.
No way.
Yep, that was the Indy 500 in 1988.
That's so cool.
And I then worked in the advanced audio group. So back then, the concept of digital radio was totally radical and coming. Delco was huge. They had their own semiconductor fab. Okay, so they were making the chips for the GM cars as well as having all the R&D there.
Oh.
I went there after I graduated, before I went to grad school at Stanford, and headed out to California. Thought I was never going to leave because I was wanting to go to California, and there I was in California, and it was a great time to be there. I was there from 90 to 94, and things were booming. Lots of exciting stuff was going on. My first job as a grad student was actually my last year in grad school. I worked at Hewlett-Packard Labs, which was very iconic. And I just didn't think I was going to leave California.
Yeah.
But when it came time to find a job, I wanted to be a professor. And the right opportunity came at Cornell. And I went to Cornell and loved that. And that was a good match for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big outdoor person. I like to spend as much time outdoors as possible. So for me, moving to what some people perceive as the middle of nowhere, for some people that would not be a good choice. And in fact, I'll say at Cornell University, we sometimes had challenges recruiting people, and we had challenges retaining people. And it was the same for students too, not just faculty. Because people got there and they were like, oh my God, I'm living in a small town. It's the middle of nowhere. And it's really cold for a really long time period.
Oh, wow. Those things don't go together very well.
Yes, and it's not for everybody, And I think that also, for people who are accustomed to being in an environment, which is often a big city, where opportunities for recreation easily present themselves, it can be challenging to be somewhere where if you want to do something and you don't know what to do, it's not obvious, right? Of course there were movie theaters and there's theaters and there are things to do, but you have to be a little bit more proactive about it.
Lovely introduction there. It's nice getting to know more about you. So here on Damn Good Advice, we like to kick things off with one essential question. And that question is, reflecting on your life, what is the best damn advice you could give yourself?
And JD, this is such a tough question. I like to say, I've made so many mistakes. How do I just pick one to share with everyone? There are two ways to look at it. One is, what should I have done? And one of them is, okay, what did I successfully do? And that might be a theme that runs through everything. Right. I chose to go with the what should I have done?
Okay.
And I think that the single piece of advice that I would give myself and that I would give to everybody is to build enough time in for yourself all along the way. Yeah. Right? Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. If you stop here and you stop there and you take a little bit of time to do something, it's fine, right? It is not a diversion. It will actually enrich your experiences and cause you to have even different experiences going forward. It may redirect you off the path you thought you were on, but that's okay. There are very few things in life that we do that are undoable. Right? And, taking time, be it time to take a vacation, be it a job opportunity comes up that is completely different from what you thought that you might have the opportunity to do, but it sounds interesting. There are ways of arranging these things, right? They don't always have to be black and white. I think that maybe a more succinct way to say that, this isn't exactly the same thing, but it's to take more risks. I think I would advise myself to take more risks. Do things that I perceived as being risky, because certainly when I was younger, I was very, very risk averse. I was very focused and directed and concerned that I just didn't want to veer off the path that I had set for myself.
Yeah.
So I think I had shared with you before that I didn't take a vacation that wasn't associated with work until I was 38 years old.
Yeah.
And, I think in hindsight, I probably could have taken some more vacations and my life would have been just fine.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I was able to learn from the experience, right? Yeah. And I cannot go back in time, but I certainly can be more thoughtful and am more thoughtful now about carving time out for myself, taking time off, whether it's actually taking a vacation and packing myself up and going somewhere, or just setting time aside where I'm going to do something that is solely for me, to rejuvenate myself, to take some time off, to learn something new. It doesn't have to be something that necessarily has a tangible and measurable end goal other than I relaxed, I enjoyed myself, I learned something new that I may never use, but that's okay.
Yeah. So it sounds like at a very young age, your parents instilled in you a high level of intent in your decisions. Do you think that this impacted the way that you looked at making risky decisions?
I'm not sure if I would put intent, maybe that's a good interpretation. Certainly, I would say I had an extreme work ethic.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? I just had a very, very strong work ethic. I think that perhaps, part of what drove me was I was going to have to be fully responsible for myself, right? It was clear that there were no grandparents who were sending me checks. There was no magic, like my parents came to the U.S. with suitcases and that was it. And everything they had, they worked for. And I didn't have any reason to believe that my life was going to be any different. Right? Like, why would it be? Winning the lottery has a very low probability. So I think that I made a lot of decisions and I was really driven by the fact that I am the person taking care of me. And if I don't do it, then I might not eat. I will say that most of my very close friends, I realized this at some point, are also immigrants themselves or they're children of immigrants.
Yeah.
And I think that it's probably that shared experience in, you are here, you are going to have to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
There's no lifeboat, there's no trust fund. You need to make it happen for yourself. And I think that maybe that common lived experience is why we're drawn to each other.
Gotcha. So going back to risk, you yourself, you mentioned you wish you had taken more risk along the way. Let's assume we have a young person who is in a similar mindset as you were. Mm-hmm. What steps would they take to get to that paradigm shift?
So part of me is going to speak from personal experience, and then part of me will toggle into professor mode.
Awesome.
As an engineer and a scientist myself, I'm very data-driven, right? And I think that we all understand that a little bit better today in the world of Google, where we know that we have this resource to consult. If we don't know the answer, is Saturn bigger than Jupiter? Well, we don't have to sit around and make stuff up. We actually can, easily investigate it without having to get up and go to the library or do something else. I like to gather data. And now, so how does one gather data and synthesize data around the abstract concept of should I take more risks? Well, that really manifests itself as what should I do at specific decision points in my life?
Right.
And, I think classically as humans, we know what to do here. It's get advice.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the same time, there are sort of a infinite number of places where we can get advice from. And it's very important to measure that advice appropriately. It's always very easy to look back and say, man, that was bad advice. So how does one set oneself up to get the highest quality advice? And this is something that I also wish I would have done when I was younger. I think that having a collection of mentors who are from different areas of either your career and or your personal life is extraordinarily important. Having a portfolio of mentors from different walks of life, different backgrounds, that provides you with the best perspective on, gosh, I'm reaching this junction in my life, which may be big and it may be small, but it's going to give you way more perspective on how to think about that decision and potential positives that you haven't thought about, potential negatives that you haven't thought about, completely different directions you might want to go. In the end, it's never a vote, right? If things were so easy, you wouldn't be seeking mentoring advice on these questions. Right? But it's your job then to take that information and to synthesize it, okay? Throw away what's not relevant, look at what is, and then try to understand, what do I do now? How can I use this valuably? And those mentors, I'm talking like these are formal people, many people have mentoring relationships and neither of them really even think about it as a mentoring relationship, right? I like to say a mentor can be somebody that you have one conversation with, but they really provide you with some valuable input that you can go back to time and time and time again.
Yeah.
And I think back on my life, and in fact, I just shared with somebody here at Triple Ring a conversation that I had with a colleague at Cornell in my, 8th, 9th year that has stuck with me to this day.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I will describe it in the context of what I was experiencing at the time. And I think everybody can relate to this. We all have times in our either lives or our work lives where we literally have more stuff to do than we have hours in the day to do it, right? And everything needs to get done. Everything is important. And I was experiencing this at work. And I thought, my gosh, for some reason, I don't know how to do my job anymore. How is it possible? I cannot get all of this done. Right. And so I went to one of my friends. He's still my friend. He was not my official mentor. He was not an unofficial mentor. Somebody who I went to for advice. And I said, Dave, I realize I don't know how to do this job. How do I cope with this situation? And you would think sort of the default answer, what I had going in my head was, Sheila, you just got to prioritize. Well, when you prioritize, great. Now I still have a list of 47 things to do. Right? He said, Sheila, you have to take everything that you need to get done and you have to put it into 3 buckets. The first bucket is things that you really care about that you're going to do really well. Okay? The second bucket is things that have to get done but you're just going to squeak over the bar on them. And that was very good advice for me because I don't like to just squeak over the bar. I don't want to do a bad job.
Right.
Well, over the bar is not a bad job. Okay, I had to reorient myself.
Yeah.
And the third bucket is very important. He said, you need to identify things where you are just going to drop the ball. Is something that many of us don't like to do because we've all been on the side of the dropped ball and it's not a good experience.
No, it is not.
He was absolutely right because you can't do everything. If you are good and competent at what you're doing, you are going to get more and more things to do. It is not good to devote your entire life to solving other people's problems and, be it at home or at work, right? You're on this planet for yourself as well. So that was extremely helpful advice for me. And that's something I've shared with a lot of people because it's a different level of prioritization.
Yeah.
Also, then, what I learned when I started binning things and dropping the ball on some things was my judgment wasn't so bad. A lot of the things I was dropping the ball on turned out that they were ball droppable,
Yeah.
And that then becomes a good training exercise for assessing taking on tasks, right?
Right.
I start to become a little bit pickier about what I say I'm going to do, or ask people some more strategic questions first and say, well, I'd like to do X, but I only have this much time and I can do Y. I think that's good for everybody. That's good for everybody.
So going back to mentorship, what steps should a person take as far as securing a mentor and developing that relationship?
So this is a fabulous question. I have always told people that it is your responsibility to make sure that you have mentors, no matter where you are. Even if your organization says, we are going to set you up with a mentor, that relationship may or may not work. Additionally, being a protege, which is the word I prefer to mentee, protege, that is not a passive role. I think those relationships at their best need to be two-way relationships. Observe them, and you will naturally get to know them. And this is how mentoring relationships can evolve. And I think the important features are trust and candidness. If somebody is always giving you a sanitized version of what they think you need to hear, and conversely, if you feel that there's somebody that you can't share what your concern is. That doesn't mean that you can't have a mentoring relationship. It just may not be around that topic, right? There may be somebody who is a great mentor pertaining to how do you get more exposure in the broader technical community or business community outside of your workplace, right? But that person may not be the right person for inside day-to-day sort of nitty-gritty career advice in the context of what's going on.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's having your antenna up. It's who you're interacting with, noticing how other people are interacting with them, and starting to develop relationships with people. If you are developing relationships with people and you are able to start asking them questions, you will find that you naturally have conversations with people. And I think it's really just cultivating those relationships. And likewise for folks outside of the workplace or in any other environment. And I think also these relationships, they run their course. There are some people who may be a lifetime mentor. There are some folks who are extremely helpful in some stages of your life, and then they don't really have a lot more to offer, or you move on. I think about several faculty who were extraordinarily helpful to me as I made my way through the tenure and promotion process. But for anything beyond that, they didn't have the experiences, or really they themselves didn't have the career interests in doing anything else.
Yeah.
So those relationships just transitioned to friendships, and that's a perfectly fine outcome. And, then I would find others who could be more helpful. You are the one that needs to be taking the active role in making sure that you're getting good advice, whether that is from a formal mentor or whether that's from other people. But having a network of mentors is important, because you're not going to be able to ask everybody every question. There's some things where something happens and you're like, man, there's only one person I can go to about this, either because it's politically sensitive or it's personally sensitive or for whatever reason. And it's very comforting to know that you have a network of folks that you can go to, and there's always going to be somebody you can go to.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll mention is I'm a huge fan of peer mentoring.
Yeah.
I think that peer mentoring is like the easiest thing that anybody can set up at any organization. You show up somewhere and there's nothing going on. It's very easy to set up peer mentoring. You call it a lunch.
Right.
And, as long as that group has sort of relatively level dynamics, right? Like you don't want a VP and a bunch of people who are in their first year.
Can you provide a little insight into what maintaining one would look like?
So that's like any relationship. You have to put effort into.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that life expands to fill all available time. So I think that one really has to be very cognizant of keeping in touch with people and communicating with them, having lunch, having coffee, like drop somebody a note to have coffee or to have a Zoom call to check in. Extremely helpful. And I say that because so many places now want some kind of reference. If you want to go to graduate school or medical school or law school, you're going to have letters, right? But at the same time, you interview with companies, they may ask for references, and it is much easier for a faculty member who knows you, right? Even if it's you stop in once every semester and say, hey, I want to tell you about what's going on in my semester this year. I really loved your class, so I took this and this happened. And I'm sure there are questions you can ask of them. What classes should I take? Do you have advice on summer job? Whatever. There's got to be somebody. And just maintain that relationship. For sure. Because you never know where that's going to go. I have many friends now who were undergraduates in my classes. Right? And that's wonderful. That's just wonderful. But from a practical perspective, it's much easier for somebody to give a strong recommendation if they think that they know you, if you have some kind of relationship. Otherwise, it's really like people get asked to write 10, 20, 50 letters sometimes and to say, John took my class, he ranked 3rd out of 50. That's all I can say. It's hard, right? You just don't get to know anybody. Yeah. So
John didn't do enough work on the back
end. Like everything, relationships of any kind require effort.
It's now time for the quote of the episode, provided by our guests. This could be a quote from your life that stuck out to you somewhere along the way. It could even be a saying.
So for that, I think that I will quote Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
That's awesome. So what does that quote mean to you?
We all get a limited number of chances to interact with others in our lives.
Yeah.
And treating everybody with dignity and respect. We're all here as equals, and we're all experiencing life together. If we don't understand that, then why are we here?
Well, it's been fantastic having you on.
JD, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Damn Good Advice with your host, JD Lewis. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.